So we are at this really fascinating crossroads right now. You've got these two powerhouse technologies, right? Artificial intelligence and the blockchain. And they're not just coexisting anymore, they're starting to merge. And this isn't some far-off prediction, this is a new frontier that's being built as we speak, and honestly, it's set to change just about everything.
And look, don't just write this off as some niche little experiment happening in a corner of the internet. The crypto publication Bankless, they absolutely nailed it recently. They see this as a huge shift in focus, especially for one of the biggest ecosystems out there.
This is really the move that kicked the whole thing off. The Ethereum Foundation, the nonprofit that supports the whole ecosystem, they've actually created a brand new, dedicated team. And their mission? It's laser-focused. Make Ethereum the go-to, neutral, trustless layer for AI to coordinate on. This isn't an accident. It's a very deliberate, very strategic push into this new territory.
So of course, this brings up some pretty big questions, right? Like, why now? Why are these two worlds colliding at this very moment? What's the real driving force? And maybe the biggest, most mind-bending question of all, what in the world happens when code that can literally think for itself gets its hands on unstoppable decentralized money?
All right, to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to talk about the synergy. Because this isn't just about smashing two trendy buzzwords together, There's a really deep, almost symbiotic relationship going on here.
Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it. The best way to think about it is like a virtuous cycle, a feedback loop that just keeps getting stronger. On one side, you have blockchains. They're constantly creating these huge troves of transparent and, this is the key part, verifiable data. It's basically the perfect, high-quality food for AI models to learn from. And then, in return, that smarter AI can build tools that make the whole kind of confusing world of crypto way easier for the rest of us to use.
Okay, so the main character in this whole new world is something called an AI agent. And this is not just some simple bit of code. An AI agent is, well, it's software you can actually give a goal to. You can tell it, hey, go maximize my yield, or find me the absolute best price for this token, and it just goes off and does it, all on its own. Now put that on the blockchain, and suddenly these agents can hold crypto, sign transactions, and use dApps, just like a person would, only, with superhuman speed and efficiency.
Now, what's so important here is the huge shift this represents from what we're used to. The AI we know today, your ChatGPTs, your Google Bards, that's all centralized. It's owned and controlled by one big company. Decentralized AI, or DAI, completely flips that on its head. It takes the computing power, the data, the decision-making, and spreads it all out across a network, a lot like how a blockchain works. Why does that matter? Well, it gets rid of those single points of failure and control. You end up with an AI ecosystem that's way more open and way more resilient.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But what does this actually look like when the rubber hits the road? How do these AI agents really work on the blockchain? What can they do?
Well, Coinbase actually laid out a great way to think about this. It's basically a stack with 4 layers built on top of each other. At the bottom, you have the data layer. That's just organizing all the information that's on-chain. Then you need compute, the raw horsepower to run the AI models. On top of that is middleware, which is kind of like the smart glue that automates everything. And then finally, at the very top, you have the application layer. That's the part we actually see and use. Nice, simple interfaces that hide all that crazy complexity underneath.
And this is where it gets really wild. When you let these agents loose in the world of decentralized finance, or DeFi, you get this brand new thing people are calling DeFi. Just imagine it. Agents that are automatically running super complex trading strategies for you, or constantly moving your funds around to chase the absolute best yields. Or how about agents that monitor smart contracts for bugs 24/7? They could even help DAOs make smarter decisions by analyzing proposals. It's basically DeFi, but on an intelligent autopilot.
And this quote from Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum's co-founder, just perfectly captures the mind-boggling scale we're talking about here. The entire economic model is different. I mean, think about a task that's worth, say, $50. No human is going to spend a ton of time on that. But for $50, you can get thousands of AI agents to swarm a problem and compete to find the best answer. All of a sudden, you can create markets for tiny tasks and bits of information that just weren't economically possible before.
But, and there's always a but, right? With all of this incredible new power comes a whole new set of risks. This is absolutely a double-edged sword. And it's so important that we understand both sides of it, the massive potential for good and the equally massive potential for things to go wrong. Okay, so let's start with the bright side. The promise here is it's huge.
AI could finally crack crypto's biggest problem, the fact that it's just too complicated for most people. It can make using crypto as easy as just talking to someone. For developers, it could automate security checks, speed up building things. I mean, it could unlock totally new ways for us to organize and collaborate online. That's the dream, right? The optimistic vision.
But, and yeah, this is a very big but, when you give code that can think for itself direct access to unstoppable money, you invent entirely new ways for things to go sideways. We're not just talking about the old problems getting bigger, we are talking about fundamentally different kinds of threats. Threats we have never, ever had to deal with before.
In fact, researchers have already flagged 3 brand new ways this could cause harm. First is autonomy. An AI could create and deploy a malicious smart contract, let's say a Ponzi scheme, that once it's on the blockchain is completely unstoppable. No one can turn it off. Second, anonymity. Blockchains are pseudonymous, which means it could be next to impossible to figure out who or what is actually behind a malicious AI agent. And third, automaticity. A rogue AI could use smart contracts to automatically hire help, other AIs, or even people to do its dirty work, all without needing to trust them because the payment is guaranteed by the code.
And if that wasn't enough, you've also got the problem of adversarial attacks. See, if the AI's code is open for everyone to see, then attackers can study it, find its weak spots, and craft the perfect exploit. But if you make the model closed source to protect it, well, then it's just another centralized black box, and that kind of defeats the whole point of building in a decentralized way. It's a real catch-22, a fundamental dilemma with no easy answer.
So, where does all this leave us? Well, it feels like we're standing right on the edge of a new, totally uncharted map. This daylight frontier, it's being explored right now, as we speak. And just like any frontier, it's probably full of both incredible treasures and some pretty scary dragons.
One of the big predictions coming from Coinbase is that we're heading towards what they call AI-first development. So instead of building an app and then trying to sprinkle some AI on top, developers are going to build smart contracts that are intelligent right from the very start. And if that happens, it could just blow the doors off the pace of innovation. We could see people building and testing ideas in days instead of the months it takes now.
And I really want to stress this. This is not science fiction. This is not some maybe one day kind of thing. Between Ethereum's official DAI team and all the startups jumping into this space, this future is being built right now. The opportunity is absolutely massive, but that means the responsibility to get this right is just as profound.
And so that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? As we step across this new frontier, what kind of world are we actually building? Is this combination of AI and crypto going to create a smarter, more efficient, more decentralized world for everyone? Or are we running the risk of unleashing autonomous, unstoppable chaos? The honest answer is, nobody knows yet. That story hasn't been written, and it's going to be shaped by the decisions we all make, starting today.